me so proud to be sitting at the back and seeing the work that Morella's now imparting and really making an impact to the world. And you hear the stories, and when you say the things, I don't know who I am. But this is what I say to every single... Oh, is there a pen up here as well, Morella? Can I just throw on this one?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. All right. Because, thank you. Because everything that we think about in our life is a mess. All right? That's what we think about. It's a mess. But our mess is also our message. Right? Our mess is also our message. And this is what I love about what Morella is doing. And I've been now, Morella, how long is it 12 years now, is it?
Well, since I was a baby.
It's been 12 years. I remember the first time we met in Kensington. And she said, John, I have this idea. I want to empower the world. I want to empower women. I want to tell them that they can be anything they want to be. And she said, can you mentor and coach me? And I said, on one condition. I said, I mentor and coach you. I teach you everything I know. And she's like, and also you got to come speak at my event. I said, my speaker fee. And she said, I'm not paying speaker fee. Right? Right? I said, okay. And it's this person who just kept, one thing I love about what Morella does, she just doesn't take no for an answer. She just doesn't. Like, I said, no, and my manager's like, no, John doesn't speak. You got to be 1,000 people. And she's like, just keeps coming. I'm just like, okay, this person, this person's got something. When people have this like fire in the belly? That's what she has. And I'm so proud to see the work that she's doing and all the lives and all the people in this room right now who she's touching and changed, and it's incredible to see it being paid forward. And I hope that you all, when you take that mess and then turn it into your message, you will then pay that forward as well. So what I want to do in this session is, when Morella said, John, can you come down on a Sunday? I'm like, well, it's half term. My daughter's like, she's got a show. I'm like, okay. So she said, in half an hour to 45 minutes, what can you teach that's current right now? And so what I realize is, I think one of the most powerful things is, yes, we have this message, but then how do we get the message out to the world? Right? And so in the last 20 years, I figured out there's lots of different ways to do that. In fact, it's much easier now than it was before. All we need to do, there are 3 things we want to do when we do this. Right? Number 1 is focus on your content creation. So just you standing up here and talking about the things that you do, that already is the first part. But the second part is, by the way, can you all see this at the back? Can you all see, yeah? I'll try and draw bigger. So number 1 is we want to create. So in today's world, you have to not just see yourself as a creator. From today on, this is something I said to Morella. I said, look, if you want to be big, because before the magazine was called Global Woman, it was Migrant Woman, wasn't it? Remember when we sat in Kensington? I said,
When I met you, I had Migrant Woman.
yeah, and I said, look, if you want this to be global, if you really want to take, like, you got to, and then that's how global, and then she ran her first event, and 300 people showed up, and that's how Global Woman was created, and now she has, what's it, how many people, clubs do you have around the world now?
40 plus.
40 plus. Give her an applause. Amazing. And so, but what I said to her is, I said, look, if you want to be big, you have to be big. Right? And so how do we be big? So in today's world, we don't try and think of yourself as, oh, I do social media, I'm a speaker. Think of yourself as a media company. Right? That's how you have to think about yourself. You are a media company. So, for example, Netflix is a media company that sells subscriptions. Nike is a media company that sells shoes. Right? So you have to think of yourself as a media company. Because if you look at how the world has changed, we create, which is great because we get awareness, but actually what we need to start doing is we need to start documenting what we're doing as well. Right? So, and from sitting at the back and hearing all your incredible stories, I know that a lot of you have a powerful story that you can share. Right? So the story now becomes the awareness. So step 1 of building this media company is to get awareness. That's why you see Morella now, she's posting every single day on social media. So I taught her this very simple strategy called 116. 116 is post on one platform, one day, every single day for 6 months. That's what you have to do. If you do that, you will start to gain a lot of traction, you'll start to gain a lot of views, you'll start to gain a lot of attention. Because today, the media companies, why are they so big? Because they control the attention. If you control the attention, you control the messaging. Unfortunately, there are people in the world right now that are controlling attention, but not really having the best message. Would you agree, yes or no?
Yes.
It's our job and our roles to put goodness and light into the world so we can impact. And this is why when I see Morella and hear Morella, and there's been ups and downs. Like business has not always been great, but one thing, she always comes out the other end because she's got this drive, she has the intention. And part of the media company is the intention. What intention do we put out into the world? What are we trying to say? What is our message? What is our mess? Because when we turn our mess into a message, that's how people understand who we are. So how do we do that? So you create, you document, and then the last thing you would do is you want to demonstrate. This is the easiest one to do. So, for example, how many of you use social media on a regular basis? Okay, so you have to combine social with media. I said, well, John, isn't it social media? It is, but that's why Morella's incredible at the media side. She's on TV, she's in magazines. Like, this stuff is really important. So if you have a chance to be in the magazine, highly recommend it, because then it's positioning. You see, people want to create a brand, but we don't want to create a brand anymore, right? We want to create demand. And how do you create a demand? By being positioned. Write that down. Okay, so I'm going to say something to you right now. So I'm going to say something to you, and then you just say out what the first thing that comes into your mind. All right, you ready?
Yes.
You're not ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
What do cows drink?
Water.
Milk. You said themselves like milk. Right? Name a soft drink. Right, why not Pepsi? Right? Name a fast food. Why not Burger King? You see, even companies as big as McDonald's still have to advertise. I mean, everybody knows McDonald's, but do they still advertise? Yeah, but they don't need to. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. In fact, if I was to go da-da-da-da-da, you would say, you even know the jingle. Right? So the key to this is when we create, we document, and we demonstrate. These are the three things we do every single day. And then we follow the 116. Right? Now, let me give you a second part of the formula. I said to Marilla, okay, if you want to create success, and by the way, we all want to become millionaires and billionaires in this room. Right? And you see, when I said that, a lot of your mind might think about money. Right? It's not. In fact, I just got signed by a publisher called Hay House and Penguin. So they're a very big publisher. Thank you. So the book is called Money Unlocked. And one of the things I talk about in there, when people buy the book, they think about making money. I mean, yes, I do talk about that. But actually, you can't make money until you grow yourself. Right? Your container, like if I take this glass, and if I take a massive jug and start pouring water into this, and I keep pouring, it's going to fill up to the top, and what's it going to do? It's going to overflow. That means if you don't grow yourself, you can't hold it. That's why a lot of millionaires who win the lottery, within 5 years it's gone, because this hasn't grown. So we must grow our container. And so when I say the word millionaire and billionaire, a friend of mine, his name's Giovanni, incredible human. I mean, the work that he's doing, the impact he's making is amazing. And he's the one who taught me this. And he said, John, right, I want to become a millionaire and billionaire. I said, but you already are. No, not in that sense. When we say the word millionaire and billionaire, we're not talking about the zeros that we have in our bank account. We're talking about the lives that we've touched before we leave this planet.
Yes.
That's the true definition of a billionaire. Have you touched 1 billion people? Have a billion people heard your message or heard your message? Because I can guarantee you that once they hear it, it's going to impact. Just like as when you were stood on stage, people know who you are, but then when you talked about your message, people resonated with that because everyone can relate to that. So that's why your messaging is important, right? And if you look at where we were, we started with this kind of like dot-com boom, right? And then this is kind of like the industrial age. Then we went to the next stage, which is the information age. And now we go to the next stage, which is the creator age. This is where we are right now. To become a creator is to get your message out to the world. So then how can we do this? What's the easiest way to do this? So the formula, as I mentioned before, 116, really simple. 116, one topic, one platform, post every single day for 6 months, and post the same posts. What do I mean, same posts? Right? Okay, can I show you some examples? Would that be more helpful? Let me show you some examples. All right. So, I'll show you, this is one of my clients, Lisa. Right? Lisa is, and I said to her, Lisa, what you need to do is you need to keep posting about the things that you do. So this is Lisa, all right? And if you look at the sort of reach that she's having right now, okay? I mean, she only has 2,000 followers, but the reach is getting, like, look how many views she's getting, right? 45,000 views, 23,000 views. You see, the problem is, when you start posting things, you know, the food that you've had, picture of your dog, picture of your kids, you start confusing the algorithm, right? So that means every single post that you post needs to look the same. Because it's kind of like, you know, when you go abroad, and like sometimes I go to interesting countries and I'm starving, and like the local food is maybe not contributing with my stomach, if you know what I mean. So I'm like, I just want something, I want certainty. Where's McDonald's? Right? And then, you know, I'm going to have my, you know, fries and hamburger and things like that. So the key to this is to create certainty in your post and your messaging, right? So that's what we call our ICP, our ideal customer profile. So when I said to Morella, who's your ICP? And she told me, and her ICP is everyone you see in the room right now. Every single thing she says, every message she puts out, every post she makes, every interview she does, every podcast she does, every stage engagement she does, every book she writes, targets and attracts the messaging to her ICP. And if you look around the room, you are the ideal ICP, ideal customer profile that we can use to, sorry, yes?
What was ICP again?
So ideal customer profile. So another thing that people do as well when they make posts online, they don't know who the ICP is. So you have to keep talking. So for example, with Lisa, you know, in the last 30 days, she's had 6 million views with only 2,000 subscribers. Right? So remember, part of media is distribution. Right? Awareness times attention equals income. Right? See, the problem is that you have a powerful message, but you have listeners for your message. Right? So we need to start having listeners for our message. We need to start doing things in a way where we can help serve and support and help people. Because in today's world, we're living in an attention economy. Right? That's where we are. That's why the 116 is important. Now, I'll show you another example. So this is my account. So if I go on to, all right, let me show you this one, for example. So this is a post that I put up, but what I want to bring your attention to is this. Okay? This is the metric that you need to look at. So this, one of my posts hit 3.3 million views, right? But I want to bring your attention to this part here. 26.8% on my followers, right? 73.2% on my non-followers. Okay? So what does that mean? Because people go, well, John, it's okay, if you have millions of followers, of course you can get views. Yes, that is one of my advantages. But then, because when Morella asked me to speak here, I'm like, okay, because I know what people are going to say. They say, but it's okay for you, John, because you have millions of people following you. And, you know, people know who you are and you already have a brand. I thought to myself, okay, let me see, and I really challenged myself here. Let me see if I can create a fictional person, right, that does not exist. And let me see if I can get this account to outperform my own account without showing a John Lee face, without using a John Lee name. Who would like to see some of the results? Say yes! Yes! All right. So, I created a character called David Chen. David Chen, right? This account is 6 days old and it's gained 31,000 followers. Right? And it does not exist. This is not a real person. I created an AI version of him. Right? And then if you look at this, right? Look at the views on that. Right? 286,000 views, 836,000 views. Right? It's not a real person.
scary is that?
Right? This person's a bit of it's like, oh, it's hit my ego a little bit. I'm like, hold on a second. Like, I'm putting all this effort into creating content. I'm having a nice suit, doing my hair. I just press a button and generate David. And David does the message, and it gets millions of views. Right? So, and I'll show you the stats on this. Like, just right. I'll go into the analytics. Right? This is the dashboard. Right? I'll go into the analytics, and I'm going to go insights for the content, and I'm going to go for the last 7 days, right? So in the last 7 days, yeah, David Chen has had 1.2 million views, and only 5.2% from my followers. He's got no followers. So that means within a week, all of you, if I show you the right way to do it, can put content in social media, generate millions of views, and then you need to divert them to, because a lot of you are like, well, John, views don't pay the bills. You're absolutely right. So this is the second part I taught Morella. So Morella, you've got the attention now, right? But we also need to turn it into a business arrangement. He said, but John, I just want to impact people. I want to change lives. Yes, but if you have a powerful message to share, and you don't get paid to deliver that message, you can't continue to deliver that message. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So yes, we can go with impact, but we also need to make, like, who's going to pay for this venue? You know, we're in Mayfair right now. These venues are not cheap. Right? So you still have to, there's still costs, there's food, there's drinks, like, there's still costs. That means you still need to monetize. So the 116 gets you the attention like this. This is 6 days old, this account. So I've just proven that you don't have to put yourself on camera or on social media, but you can still generate lots of views, but know what you're thinking. But John, how do you make money with this now? Well, there are a few ways. One is you can turn on monetization. Anyone who watches the video from this account, you can turn monetization on and you get paid every single time someone watches it, which I don't recommend. Okay? I don't recommend that. What I do recommend is we do the 116 plus the 111. Okay? What we focus on is one audience solving one problem and having one offer. In fact, Tayaba is incredible. So we just started working together, right? And straight away, she's now getting a lot of leads. And she just told me back there she's got her first client. Give her a round of applause. That happened in a very short space of time. Now we're going to scale that. When I wrote Money Unlocked, like, one of the things that book's been in my head for 20 years. And every single time people always come to me, doesn't matter whether it's real estate, doesn't matter whether it's stocks or investing or shares or social media or building a media company, it's the same process, right? Awareness. Every business needs awareness, right? That means you need to give value. You always need to add value. So some people try and hold back their information. With AI now, that does not exist. So you now need to give away all your content for free and not charge for it. Right? Well, how do I make money then, John? Well, you have the 111. One problem, one audience, one offer. Right? And we do that until we get to 6 or 7 figures. Then you can do other stuff. Right? So, well then how do we monetize from that then? Monetization is about doing something that's going to impact somebody else. That's all it is. We think about how can we serve others. And by the way, Morella, you have made a massive impact to everybody. Sometimes you say something in a certain way, and then people, it's like popcorn. You know when you put popcorn, it's like, it just pops. Right? So actually, you have done all the work, not me. So let's give Morella a big round of applause. Right? I'm just that little bit at the end, it's like the fuel's already there, just putting fuel on the fire, it just blows up. Right? But here's the thing, it's like you have to understand that in order to get something like this, and so when I think about, okay, why did that get more engagement than my own posts? It's the same way you talk to AI. All right? So your content is, so write this down, content for free, implementation for a fee. So that's how you monetize. Right? And that's why we come with the intention of helping and serving, and if you can really deliver. Right? So Diana, you and I, we met in a few days ago, right? In Milton Keynes.
Implementation.
Right? And so I can't wait to see the stuff that you're going to be producing. showing people all the stuff you've been through, all the strategies, all the grit, and then turning that into a message and getting out there, right? We shot our first video, right, and we just put it up, and now, so Kirk should have sent it to you, so you should have posted it. Not yet. Okay, so you need to post that, and you watch what happens, right? Because it's the same formula as this, exactly the same. So 116 plus the 111, and now you have impact. Now the question is, what platforms or what algorithm should we be using? Okay, so I have an insider that works for Facebook, and she's my friend. Her name's Joanne. So she tells me all the insider stuff that Facebook's, Meta, we call it Facebook Meta, and what I decided to do was to create lots of different accounts, right? So for example, this is one of my accounts, my John Lee Group account, right? So this one here is, and here's a check. So this video had 1 million views, okay? But look how many comments it got. 20,000 comments, okay? So here's the rule: never sell on your page. Never sell on your page.
On your Facebook page?
Yeah, well, any page, any grid, right? So you market in public and you sell in private. Okay, market in public. But what you see a lot of people do, you look at the feed, every post is a promotion, right? I mean, it's okay to do that once you've got a following. I know Umbrella's that she's got thousands of people that are following her now. But when you're starting off, you want to keep it consistent, right? So market in public and then you sell in private. And how do you do that? So you want to use DM automation. So all you need to do is you want to say, hey, so I see some of you are up here talking about, hey, I've got a training, it's free, or you can buy this. Just get people to comment, right? You just say, hey, if you're interested, just comment the word, training or one-to-one or whatever. Just have a keyword, right? And anytime someone connects with you, then it'll send them a message. So now that's how you want to use AI as well, right? So AI automation and workflows. So that's one thing that we want to do. So this is one of the accounts, and then so we had another
There are
account.
3 AI tools that's threatening human jobs.
Right. So then we're gonna. I'll show you the other one. So I'll show you a smaller account to show you the power of this. So this strategy is the 116 plus 111 plus CCC. Trying to give you some formulas for you to remember. Right, so don't worry, this is the last formula you need to remember. CCC. Now in the 116, you're going to do content, call to action, conversion. That's it. Content, call to action, conversion. So you're going to put a piece of content out there, right? And then you're going to do a call to action. If you're interested in X, Y, Z, comment a word. Why do you want people to comment? Because when they comment, it increases algorithm engagement, right? So there are 3 things on your post that people need to do in order to get reach. This is the first thing we need to do. Here's why. There's a saying that I've always thought about. It's like the best known beats the best. The best known beats the best. You can have the best product in the world. If people don't know that you exist, you're not good. Right? If you want to get clients and someone goes to your page, you've got 10 followers, people think there's something wrong. Right? It's like a restaurant. If I'm going to Mayfair now, and do you know why when you go into a restaurant they make you sit next to the window? Because it looks full.
Yeah.
Right? When you walk in, it's like, hey, there's no one here. Right? Or that's why if you go to Hermes or LV, they make you queue up outside. Right? They want to create demand. Right? So this is how we want to become a media company. Right? The media company is being known. People know who you are. People know what you stand for. There are 3 types of brands, by the way. Write this down. Number 1, personal brand. Personal brand would be someone like, if Steve Jobs was still alive, he would be a personal brand. Right? A business brand would be Apple. Okay? A product brand would be an iPhone. So these are 3 different things you want to think about as a media company when you're putting yourself out there. Because people need to know what you do and also what you stand for. There's a saying, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Right? There's a really good book, Simon Sinek, start with why. Right? So that's what every post we put out is about why. So let me give an example. How has this changed then? And why am I doing this? So this post I put up, when I put this up? I put this up on the 23rd of March. It's like, 5 days ago. But all I do is, it's only had 14,000 views, but it's generated 406 leads. Right? So I do content. I say, hey, if you want to learn more, comment. So my company, we do a lot of AI for companies. So if any of you are like, hey John, I don't want to do any work, literally we just go into companies, we install the full AI executive team. Right? And press a button, you guys focus on what you're really good at and let the AI take care of itself. So we have a lot of systems for that. So that's what a lot of my call to actions are. Okay. Another thing I want you to think about as well is when we're putting content out there. So again, we got to be consistent. So this one here had 1,800 comments, right? But this account's only got 49,000 followers. So what do? I say to people, my 116 is every single day. Okay, my 111 is what problem am I solving? I'm solving the problem in businesses where they don't like hiring people. Right? They think that hiring people is too expensive, it costs too much money, right? They don't want to deal with people. And my pitch is, hey, how would you like to have a salesperson or an admin person or a staff member that doesn't complain, doesn't ask for a pay rise, works 24 hours a day, right? And doesn't complain. Right? So that's kind of like the pitch. So what happens is, I actually asked them to go, the 116, the 111, and then the call. So what is my conversion? So what I found is that one to many is much better than one to one. It's better than it's more leveraged. So what happens is, I drive them to a webinar, right? So the next one I have coming up has 4,898 people registered. So that will produce $1 million worth of business. Because each company will pay between 5,000 to 10,000 to install a full team into their company to be able to do the marketing, sales, operations, admin work. Like for example, all of you need to have front desk. What do we have front desk? So if someone calls my company now on a Sunday, obviously the team don't want to work, but this goes to my team.
Could you clarify what you mean by...
Well, that was the previous conversation. Let's try again. CC remembers. Try.
Hi there. This is Lily from the John Lee Group Front Desk. How may I assist you today?
Hey Lily, I just saw one of John's videos on AI and I think I need an AI assistant.
Got it. Sounds like you're interested in exploring AI assistance. Let me take down a few details so our team can follow up with you. Can I start with your first name, please?
Yeah, Morella.
Thanks, Marilla. Let me confirm the spelling. M-A-R-E-L-L-A. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect, thanks. What's your last name, Marilla?
So anyway, can I just speak to somebody about the AI stuff?
I understand you'd like to speak to someone about AI. I'll make sure our team gets your request.
So basically what happens is this person will 24/7 answer the phone. Is that pretty amazing, by the way? Yeah? So you want to think about the stuff that you're doing and then how you can actually start systemizing a lot of stuff that you do, right? So what I do is I just make the posts, and by this time next week, this will be about 8,000 people. So if I have 8,000 businesses that are interested, not everyone's going to show up. I'll get about 2,500 people that show up. But then now we go into business, so we work with like a lot of law firms, accounting firms, like a lot of doctors actually, because they can't, because they're always in sessions, real estate people, insurance. And that's our business. Right? We provide a lot of AI execution, also branding and social media and things like that as well. But the key to this is it's not just about, because remember, social media used to be about selling stuff. Now it's not. There's a growth of something called ghost followers. You guys know ghost followers? Yeah. So what is a ghost follower? They look at all your content, they never comment, never share, never like, but they buy! Yeah, they buy! Right? So actually social media should not be used for just selling stuff. It should be used for also positioning and branding. Let me give you a good example of this. So there was a big company in Sydney, and they were looking for someone to do their AI stuff. And so I go to my AI assistant, right? And I just open. By the way, have you met Nova? Have I? No, okay. Let me introduce you to Nova. 1 second. 1 second. See the internet's good. Hey Nova, I'm at the Global Woman event, and I'm asking people why they need to start learning AI and why they need an AI assistant like you. Can you just tell everybody in the room who you are and what you do for me?
Hey everyone at the Global Woman event. So I'm basically the digital twin of John Lee. Think of me as your go-to AI companion who's here to help you win, whether it's business, mindset, or just unlocking your next level. I help John and people like you figure out strategy, scale your businesses, and stay ahead of the game. And trust me, in a world run by AI, you need to be playing with it, not against it.
Alright, so Nova, what I want you to do is I want you to go to my account, analyze all my posts, find all the ones that have a high conversion. I want you to turn them into scripts, and then I want you to model my scripts onto David Chen, my avatar, and then post it on Facebook and Instagram. I want you to monitor which one does well and create an auto response sequence that anyone who replies will comment back. Once you've done that, build a landing page to opt people's addresses in. Once people fill their details in, have all the emails that automatically go out. And once that's done, create an ad and have $1,000 a day for a budget, and only stick to $1,000 and make it $5 per lead. Once that's done, I want you to then call that person if they don't reply, and then qualify that lead, and then have that person have a human in the loop and pass it through to my executive assistant, Perlene, and then we can talk about the next business proposal. Done. And then it will just do it all. All right? So this is how you scale your business. Right? So that's what we call AI workflow automation. That's why businesses pays a lot of money to do it, right? But the point here, why am I telling you this? Because I went to Nova, because I'm always basically like flying around and being there and everywhere. We run 200 events a year, right? And so I'm always looking for some incredible speakers as well. And I said to Morella, like, you train people to be as good as you on stage, right? And then we'll talk about having them, come speak at some of our stages. And that's what we did with Tiber actually. So someone messaged me and said, do you know any powerful women speakers on empowerment and for our podcast? And I said, Tiber, you need to be on this podcast. When that podcast happen? When's it coming out? A couple of weeks. How can people watch it? Tiaba_Jordan, go and follow her. Check it out, right? It's amazing, right? So these type of podcasts. So then, because I always get asked like, do you know any good speakers and any powerful women who know how to talk about specific topics and subjects? And so I'm telling you this because I went to Nova and I asked. By the way, Nova stands for Next Generation Optimized Virtual Assistant. I built her, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Right? So, but you would have your own version. Some people call them Jarvis, some people call it something else, but you just think of a name. But now Nova pretty much runs my company, right? Like it's so funny. Like when we have leadership meetings and board meetings, we actually involve the AI.
Wow.
Like Nova is there. Oh, let's check with Nova. What does Nova think? And Nova is so impartial. There's no emotions. There's no favoritism. Nothing. Right? It's incredible. Yeah. So do you have a question?
No, we need a Nova for running a house.
It's funny you should say that. Yeah. Well,
Turn the washing on, turn the tumbler on.
so it's funny you should say that. So I'm an advisor to a company called Magnus AI, right? And basically what they do is they do robotics. So actually what's happening now is, do you remember the Apple pods, the cylinder pods? Or Alexa, you remember the Alexa? Basically imagine an Alexa with a screen on it, right? So that will sit in the middle of your kitchen table, and you'll wake up in the morning, and you just ask it. So I'll just say to Nova, this is something I asked Magnus to develop for me actually. So we're in prototype right now to create this robot. that sits in your middle of your kitchen.
Yeah, because it takes up a lot of talk time with your kids, because if you're worrying about the chores, you don't have talk time with
Well,
your
it's
kids.
mental load, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know, for example, my daughter, she's got abacus, she's got ballet, she's got, you know, acting and singing. Like, I can just tell I can sell the home version. Actually, Pauline, this is my executive assistant, by the way, Pauline. Say hi, Pauline. She's incredible. A lot of the back-end systems for Nova, actually, Pauline creates as well. But we could do that, actually, like an enterprise home version. But it'd be good because, like, if you've got this robot on your desk and I'm like, okay, my car insurance is coming up. Hey Nova, I want you to go and scan all the car insurances, right? Find the cheapest quotes, and I want you to make calls to all the brokerages and then haggle down the price.
Because that took me 2 hours, what you just said, to do on my own.
Right, but Nova could do
And
that.
I hate that.
Yeah.
So,
Right? And then it's like, oh, do you have your account number? Where's my account number? Like, all those details will be stored on what we call a local server. Right? So you need to start thinking about how you do this for your own business. That's why in today's world, they talk about having what we call a unicorn. You guys know what a unicorn is? $1 billion valuation company. Right? But they used to have 1,000 people in that company. Now you can have a single person or a small group of like 10, 20 people to become a $1 billion valuation. Because effectively, your one employee becomes 10 people. That's why Gen Zs can't get hired now. No one wants to hire someone that can do one job. They want to hire someone that's multifaceted that can do 10, 20 jobs. Right? So a part of your social media, your branding, you also need to start focusing on creating systems so you can scale. So you can scale yourself as well. Morella, how much time I got left? Am I time? 2 minutes? 2 minutes, okay. So I want to kind of just give you an example as well. Oh, this is off. It's off anyway. Pauline, can we just get, this has just come off, I don't know why it's come off. Thank you. So when we're thinking about creating this, I asked Nova to go and scan all my emails, because I hate reading. How many of you hate reading emails? How many hate replying to emails? It's funny, I was on a flight to Nashville. Thank you. I was on a flight to Nashville and I saw this conference coming up. Because people ask me, John, how do you get all your speaking engagements? Right? Actually, my AI goes out and finds out who the organizers are. So there was this conference called AI Agent Conference. It was in New York. Like, I should be speaking at that. Right? So normally my managers would go out and find all the work for me, but on the flight, I said, here's the exact prompt I gave it. Right? I said to Nova, here's the link to this conference, find out who are the organizers, get the email addresses, scan them, found all the emails. We use something called Appify for that. It scrapes all the websites to pull data. Okay, so that's a really good tool you can use. And then I said, scan all the speakers' profiles and what they're talking about, and then fit in with what John Lee talks about and what's missing in their conference, and reposition me. Right? And then I said, because I didn't have a website for that specific talk, so I said, here are all the pictures that I've taken. Based on all of this, build a website for me as well. And then it came up with this. Right? Speaker. So basically, it came up with this look. Right? So it just dropped all the pictures in for the events. Right? And then it created all of this. Right? So then I said, okay.
how long did it take?
This is my AI, yeah. So whilst I was on the plane, it was building this website. I dropped all the pictures in, had access to all my files. Then it found that person's email address, found out what the speakers were not covering, put me in as there as the speaker, had a pitch and sent the email. By the time I'd landed, the person replied. Right? Unfortunately, it was so close to the event that all the speaker lineup was full. But she said, "We'd love to have you in the next one." Right? I thought, oh my God, I can scale this. So then the company in Sydney, they how many of you heard of Tony Robbins?
Yeah.
Right? So Tony Robbins, Stephen Bartlett, Cody Sanchez, and John Lee. That's what they wanted to put this lineup together. So, and I said to them, how did you find me? So John, we went to social media and we typed in AI and all your videos started coming up. Because they wanted someone to talk specific about AI in business and how it's going to change everything. Right? And so that's how I got the keynote. And then because I found out it was going there, being advertised, now a real estate company said to me, John, whilst you're going to be in Sydney, why don't you come do a talk at our company? So that's what I start understanding is like we got to start doing things that are. How many of you agree that times are changing? Show of hands. Times are changing. like it's very different to how we used to do business 5 or 10 years ago. And so because of social media, and because I did the 116, by the way, that's how I got this book deal by Penguin.
Wow.
Right, so they paid me a lot of money to write this book. Right, by the way, you should all grab a copy. Go to Amazon. It's coming out in like my birthday in May, so. But it talks all about a lot of these concepts that I'm kind of discussing with you, like different ways in how we need to think. Because when we think, it's not about doing things in one way, but it's doing things and thinking differently. Right? So now critical thinking, because of AI, has been taken out. Right? So critical thinking skills is not needed anymore. Right? I'll give you an example. How many of you can remember 10 telephone numbers right now? Oh, it's good. How many of you can remember 10 telephone numbers 10 years ago? Right? You see? It's a skill that you don't really need anymore. So it's evolving. What's it evolving to? So we've got human intelligence and we have artificial intelligence. And when they collide together, it creates creative intelligence. Right? So is anyone dyslexic in here? I'm dyslexic. It's perfect for people with dyslexic and ADHD. Alright? If you're ADHD, if you're dyslexic, if you're the type of person that just like you think like very creatively, creative intelligence for you will stay ahead in this game. Alright? And that's why we want to start really growing and then scaling this stuff up as well. So, yes.
I'm so sorry to. Do you, on your content, do you have anything that advises like the teenagers and adolescents in terms of this future change? Because you mentioned that's why Gen X or Gen Z, whoever they like to call themselves, Alpha, are struggling to get jobs. So do you have advice for them? Because if any mothers in here with teenage, we often like don't know what to say and what to tell them.
So that's why you all need to learn. Because I had a dream. One of my dreams was to revolutionize the education system. I don't feel like my daughter. I asked a question to the teacher. She's 7 years old. And you know, my daughter now is asking me how to. She's like, oh, it's not, Daddy, do you want to play with Barbie? It's like, Daddy. She actually comes up to me and says, Daddy, I want to do AI. And so, no, I'm not kidding. We were in the Bahamas, right? And I said to her, okay, honey, let's do this. You know what she did? When Stranger Things came out, she drew this monster. Right? I said, and she said, Daddy, can we turn it into AI? And we turned that monster into this. Right? Now she wants to create a YouTube channel of this monster, and then she just asked me recently, Daddy, can I get a 3D printer? I'm like, for what? Because I want to take this, put it into a 3D model, and print it so we can sell it. Wow! She's 7 years old. Right? So yes, but the only reason she knows that, because she's a performer, so now she's writing her own music as well using AI. There's a really good one called Suno.ai. Like you just put the lyrics in there and it gives you the melody, and then we can then put that as a backing track to be able to sing our music. So my daughter now. So to answer that question, I realized that trying to go against the grain of the traditional education system, right, is very hard. But I made it my mission. It's like, okay, if I can impact 1 billion people on how to self-sustain, because it doesn't matter what's happening in the economy right now, right? We have to learn how to become self-sufficient. Right? So we effectively create our own economy. And in Chinese we have this word called 危机, and it means, it's made up of 2 characters. Right? If you put them together, it spells, chaos. Right? But if you split the characters apart, one means danger, one means opportunity. 2 separate words. So there is an opportunity that's coming, but you've got to get in now. Right? You've got to start, and I don't care how old you are, how young you are, like if you're technically, like raise your hand if you can copy and paste. You can do AI. Because it does the work for you now. But we have to change our level of thinking to creative intelligence. And so actually, you know what? Actually, how many of you would love to learn more on this topic, by the way, show of hands? What I'll do is, I spoke to Morella, and we want to do, for me, I want to find more people like Morella, because I realized that in my lifetime, I'm probably not going to be able to touch 1 billion people like face to face. But if we train all of you to be able to do this, and you all touch 100,000 lives, then we have a better chance of getting there. So what we have put together for the community is, I'm looking for more Morellas, like the next Morella. right? I want to find people who can create an incredible community and make massive impact. And so what I realized is, what are the elements that I taught her over a decade ago that makes a difference? Number one, lead generation. You need to have leads. No leads, no deals, no impact. Right? Second thing, you need to learn how to make passive income. We need to stop trading time for money. One of the things I talk about in my book is free, rich versus wealthy. We get free first by creating passive forms of income. We become rich where we have excess money, where we can make more impact. And wealthy is having choice and freedom. Right? That's what I actually want to do, and we want to pass that on. So we got to have some passive income streams. That's why I buy a lot of real estate. I just bought 3 properties down in South Bank. Right? Because it produces, it's my daughter actually. So my daughter's going to go to probably one of the performance schools down here. And so she's going to have a place to stay. Right? And when all her friends are paying for all of the Westminster and all these expensive, dorms and things like that, I said, just have them stay in your place. Right? Now they're going to pay off yours. So by the time you graduate, you've got no debt. Right? So you need passive income. You also need AI business model. How many agree AI is, that it's not even a good to have, it's a must. Raise your hand if it's a must.
Oh,
You have to. You know what I said to people? I said, how many people are using ChatGPT? And then, before, like 2 years ago, hardly anyone put their hand up. Now everyone's hand goes up. Then I say to them, how many of you are using ChatGPT to read your email, rewrite the email, and send that email back? All the hands go down. So that's the difference between what we call agent and agentic. So there are 5 levels of AI. LLMs, agents, agentic, AGI, and superintelligence, which that's game over after that. So we need to have AI business. Also build personal brand. You know what's really funny? In the world that's so connected, we are so disconnected. Would you agree?
Yes.
Right? And now when people see things on social media, it's like, is it real? Do you know how many times people come up to me? Like I was in Chicago, I did a keynote at CreatorCon, and I was sat there having breakfast. Lady walks in, are you John Lee? I said, yes. Oh my God, you're real! I'm like, what do you mean? Do you know how many times I've had that? It's crazy because so now when we see something on AI, we go, is it real or is it not? So what's happening? Trust economy, right? We're in a trust recession right now. That's why you need a good personal brand. That's why what Morella's created is something very, very special.